I am here not as an artist or entertainer, but as an American and as an advocate who believes deeply in the power of voting. That's the reason I became a co-chair of When We All Vote, a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization dedicated to increasing participation in every election. And it's why I'm here today. When I turned 18, my mother and father took me out to dinner in the Bronx, where I grew up, not just to celebrate my birthday, but to celebrate the fact that I was old enough to vote. My parents never took their vote for granted. They believe it is a sacred obligation, and it is. Not too long ago, an 18-year-old Black woman would not have been able to vote for many reasons. As you know, the legal age of voting used to be 21 years old, so you could get shipped off to war without having any say in who your commander in chief is. As you know, women were denied the vote. We only just celebrated our 100th anniversary of women earning that right. And of course, it used to be that Black people in this country could not vote. When our Constitution was written, our founding fathers designated Black Americans to be worth only 3/5 the value of a human being. Giving us a vote was out of the question. But as an 18-year-old Black woman, I voted, and I will proudly vote this November because we all share the right and responsibility to vote in order to shape this democracy and bring us closer to a more perfect union. Our ancestors fought to widen the circle of people who could vote, and now, on our watch, it is at serious risk of contracting. As you all know, there are many reasons for this, from gerrymandering to voter roll purges. In Georgia, more than 300,000 names were purged from the voter rolls last year alone. An ACLU study found that over 63% of those named, nearly 200,000 American citizens in Georgia, were wrongly purged and through no fault of their own were unable to vote. Some may call that a mistake, but it is impossible to ignore that there exists a well-financed, highly strategic effort to disenfranchise voters. That is what we're up against. Black people's experiences of voter suppression have always been the proverbial canaries in the coal mine. If we don't pay attention to those experiences, if we don't correct them, we are at risk of losing our democracy for everyone. And all of that was true before COVID-19. We are now facing a perfect storm of circumstances that will make it harder than ever for people to vote. But in the lead up to November 3rd, we have an opportunity to move forward with new strategies and innovations that make voting easier and more fair. Many states are already taking action. We need others to follow their lead. As members of this select subcommittee, I believe there are three things you can do to help states meet the challenges they're facing. First, you can make your voices louder than the voices of leaders who disparage voting by mail while voting by mail themselves. You can tell the American people that using these and other mechanisms to vote is not fraud, it is their right. Second, you can appropriate more money to states for election administration so that states can hire poll workers, run polling sites safely, and buy sorting and counting machines. The $400 million authorized under the CARES Act was critical, but the nonpartisan Brennan Center for Justice recommended in April that Congress make at least $4 billion available. And finally, many of you have paid tribute to Congressman John Lewis since his passing. I believe the single best way to honor Congressman Lewis's legacy is to continue to fight for the expansion of the Voting Rights Act. In closing, I'd like to speak directly to American voters. I know that this is a time of great uncertainty, and you may wonder how best to make your voice heard at this moment. Voting is how you make your voice heard in these halls of power. And I can tell you that there are more options than ever to cast your ballot. It is so important that you vote early, that you encourage your friends, family, and neighbors to vote early as well. That is how we fight voter suppression, by exercising our right to vote and voting for representatives who represent our best interests. Today, I am here asking our representatives in Congress to do everything in their power to make our election safe and secure, but we also need to do our part. We cannot sit this one out. So please make a plan. Do not wait until November. Your vote matters. You matter. Thank you again.